Thank you. And I'll just make a minor correction, and that would be to make sure that nobody here thinks that the weekend is because of anything that I did. I mean, I maybe started the Wellness Forum, but as you can imagine, to put on a weekend like this with so many people and so many speakers and so many logistics, it's Gary and Callie and Del and Amanda and Rachel and the whole rest of the group that really pitch in to make this happen. And I'm the lucky beneficiary of having good people around me, which lets me spend time on the things that are really important for me to spend time on. So thank you to the Wellness Forum staff, because I had a great time this weekend. I had a blast last night, and I've had a great time this whole weekend. And if I was supposed to be stressed about it, I missed the memo. Last night we had some fun going back and reflecting on our history and where we came from. And like I said last night, we sure have come a long way from the basement. And we also have come a long way from where we started, which we used to just spend all of our time defending ourselves. You know, I think back to 1997, 1998, and we would talk about not eating dairy products, or we'd talk about reading labels and finding out that food had trans fat, and people would clutch their chest and gasp for air. You know, they could hardly wrap their arms around this idea of a plant-based diet, or not eating so much meat, or that fish wasn't a health food, and that sort of thing. And I think one of the major things that I'm enjoying right now is that we don't spend much time defending ourselves anymore. I mean, in fact, what's really interesting to us this year is that a lot of the people coming to the Wellness Forum as members are already way down the path of starting to eat a plant-based diet. They understand this. They understand why they're doing it. They want to do it better. And that's why they're coming to us. But we're spending a lot more time productively today than we did a few years ago, where it just seemed like we were always almost arguing with people to get our point across. And that's been a welcome change. And that brings up something. I'm 55 years old, and I've been asked a bunch of times this year by people, so are you getting ready to retire? And I always find the question kind of bizarre, you know, that I can't think of even wanting to retire. I want to be like Dr. Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn when I grow up. I want to be 78 years old and doing all kinds of exciting things. But I have no desire to retire. And that always is music to Kelly's ear, because she's reminding me every day I need gainful employment. I have a daughter going to college soon, so that keeps me motivated to work. But really, I think the fun is just beginning. I really think the fun is just beginning. And we have some pretty exciting things in store for the next 15 years, which I want to tell you where we want to go with this company. And we have ambitious plans, and I think in order to really believe in our ambitious plans, you almost have to have an idea of where we came from literally the basement in a little tiny place on High Street. You know, we've developed a membership base in 33 countries. We have people in Egypt who take our classes, in Russia who take our classes, in Greece and throughout Europe. That just blows me away. We had a soldier stationed in Iraq who actually took the course in the desert and ordered our dry mixes, and we shipped them there so she could make. And don't you just want to say to somebody who tells you how hard this is, like, what is your problem, really? I mean, come on, you know. So it just blows me away how we've been able to develop a membership base in all the areas that that we have. And I think another important thing that we've done is that lots of people are talking about plant-based diets now, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and I hope more people talk about it, more organizations get involved. But I think one of the things that we've done that's been very helpful to our members, and I know to many of you here, is it's beyond just plant-based nutrition, because, you know, there are a bunch of healthcare decisions you have to make beyond what you put in your mouth every day. You know, are you going to vaccinate your kids, and are you going to get a flu shot, and are you going to have a PSA test? And I think we're the only company out there that's really giving people solid research-based information on making those kinds of choices, and I think that's very important. We've done a lot of programs that have qualified for CEs and CMEs for healthcare professionals, and boy, we've really got to focus on bringing healthcare professionals along. If 330 million people rolled out of bed tomorrow in the United States and said, I'm going to do this thing, we don't have enough people to help take care of them. So we have got to get to healthcare professionals, both those entering the field and those who are already in the field, and we're doing that. And that's an important reason why we started the Wellness Forum Institute for Health Studies, because we felt we needed to take an important step in the direction of leading the charge. And today we only have 2 programs. We have one for already trained healthcare professionals in our nutrition educator program, but the fact that we've been able to do this over the last couple of years, I'm very proud of that. And we worked on legislation. I was counting this up while I was getting ready to give this talk. You know, we have worked directly or indirectly on legislation in 40 out of 50 states. And that's either helping get a bill passed, stopping bad bills from getting passed. We even have one situation where we were active in getting a bill repealed or a law repealed, amending rules and regulations, screaming and hollering. We're good at that. We can make a lot of noise sometimes when we need to, but you know, there aren't very many organizations that have been as busy as we have been in the public policy arena, and we've made a real difference in some places, including Ohio, where we live. You know, when I entered this field in Ohio, it was against the law to teach a class called Cooking with Soy. Okay? It was against the law, which is ridiculous, but it's not against the law anymore. And if you've read my book, Solving America's Healthcare Crisis, you know that I was one of the people pursued by the state of Ohio. It really motivated me to change things here. And then I realized it wasn't just Ohio, it's a whole lot of other places. So anyway, we're proud of that. We've hosted a lot of programs like this. Our foundation has worked in schools in almost every state now. And we're one of the few organizations out there providing non-industry sponsored education for teachers and school children. And we're not as big as the dairy industry. 70,000 teachers downloaded information from the dairy industry's websites last year to teach in the classrooms, but my goal is to beat them out. I think we will. And with your help, we will. We've trained a lot of professional athletes in our gym and introduced them to our diet. And I think that's another area of great influence. If we can get athletes talking about a plant-based diet, as much as they're idolized by kids, I think that can make a big change. We've got to do more to get to kids. And then, of course, we've developed a proprietary line of products that I think are second to none. I'm really proud of the stuff that we produce at our company. And we've also developed a way for people to make a living at this, and I think that's important too. I run into people all over the country that are passionate about plant-based nutrition. They want to help other people, but when it's your avocation and not your vocation, there's only so much you can do. And the opportunity to actually make this a career is an important contribution that we've made. So I could go on, but I think you get the idea. We've been busy for 15 years, and it's good that I don't need much sleep because we're going to be very busy for the next 15 years. And so here's what I want to see happen in the next 15 years. First of all, I've set a goal of expanding our membership to 500,000 people. Now there's 7 billion on the planet, so I think we could probably capture 500,000 for ourselves. And we're open to exceeding all these limits too, or all these goals too. And I hope that we don't get blown away before I finish speaking here. The second thing is I really am dedicated to pursuing this issue of these employer-sponsored plans. I spoke about it on Friday. I think it is absolutely essential, regardless of what happens with health insurance reform in this country, that we help employers maintain good benefit plans. And this is a way for us to reach massive numbers of people at a time. We are happy anytime somebody joins the Wellness Forum and decides to improve their health. But when we go to a business or a municipality, we get a few hundred or a few thousand people in one place, and we can have a bigger impact faster. This is how we can really make numbers work in our favor. And I'm committed to 500 companies in the next 5 years. And I think we'll probably be able to achieve that goal. I have really lofty goals for the Wellness Forum Institute. And one of them is to eventually qualify as a privately owned college where we can even have a residential medical school and train healthcare professionals properly. And my goal here is really not to capture the market, it's to lead the way so that other institutions look at what we're doing. And this has happened with other things that we've done too, but I want Ohio State University, located here in Columbus, to say, you know what, if that Pam Popper can get X number of students to pay this much money to learn about how to be nutritionists and how to be a different kind of doctor, we probably should be doing that too. And if one can do it, the others will follow, and eventually we'll reform education in this country for healthcare professionals. And so the good news is this is going to take some time, but I eat a plant-based diet, so I'm going to be around to do it. I said last night, the advantage of taking care of yourself is you'll outlive your detractors, number one, and you can set some lofty goals, number two. And we're on our way. Accreditation takes a long time. We have to put people through this program. We have to prove that they will complete it, that they'll go out and get jobs, but and be employable in the field. But I think we're on our way to meeting the criteria necessary to do that. And I think when I'm in my rocking chair at the age of 97, maybe getting ready to check out, or maybe I'll live to 115, that'd be great too. But But I think if I'm visualizing that looking back, I think that's going to be my legacy to this whole thing, is having had the resources and the time to take on a project like that that's really time consuming and expensive, and see it through to the end. One thing that we're going to do that I don't think anybody here knows about except for staff, and this is a new program we're going to be introducing next year that I think is not nutrition based but every bit as important, is that right now there are tens of millions of people in this country who are taking drugs for depression and anxiety and other mental and emotional disorders. I was involved in the making of a documentary a few years ago called Making a Killing, and I was very outspoken then about the fact that I don't think anybody should ever take these drugs, ever. Not for a day, not for a weekend. They are useless, they are addictive, and they're dangerous. And having said that, though, we've got tens of millions of people who are taking them. And in the year 2012, we will be launching a national program accessible to everybody in the United States to get off of those drugs. We are going to lead the charge on that. We're going to do a big public education program and offer an alternative for people who want to get off the drugs, because they are so addictive and they're so awful that it's really hard for somebody sitting in their homes all by themselves to figure out how to do this. So that's going to be a new program. It will be a great complement to our employer-sponsored plan programs, because much of what employers are spending money on is appointments and drugs to treat these kinds of conditions, and we're going to address that problem. In the public policy arena, we're going to continue to fight bad bills. We're going to continue to support good legislation in all 50 states and any place that we're called on to do it. But we have a lofty goal that's really tied to, in our public policy arena, that is really tied to what we're doing with the Institute. And that is that as we expand our educational programs to educate different types of healthcare professionals, we're going to set a new standard for alternatively trained healthcare professionals in this country. And then state by state, we're going to dismantle the monopoly that healthcare professionals hold over certain occupations. And that means nutrition, that means general family practice type medical care. I think one of the biggest problems, Dr. Moss and I have talked about this over the years, is that traditional education in healthcare occupations is really not very good, but the alternative education is also not very good, and sometimes even worse. And so we have to set a new standard. If we want to go to legislatures and we want to get other people recognized to practice, we have to set a standard that will convince legislators that this is a good idea to do. And so before I check out and say I'm finished and I'm going to go sit on the porch and rock in my chair, we're going to start changing these laws, or maybe we'll even get it done in all 50 states so that other healthcare practitioners will be able to practice safely and legally and offer viable alternatives to the public. And we're going to continue to expand the ways in which people can earn a living with us. We want to offer an opportunity to people out there who have the right idea about this to make this their vocation rather than their avocation. And we also want to get into converting our employer-sponsored plans as part of all this, providing opportunity to government organizations too. I think that government is picking up the tab for a lot of useless health care. I think the program at the Sacramento Food Bank is a great model for how we can take people who essentially their health care is being paid for by the government and reduce healthcare costs for state government and federal government. And I want to see that happen not only here in the United States, but create a program that can be exported to other countries as well. So pretty lofty goals, and maybe coming from somebody else, somebody might say, well, I don't know if you guys are going to do all that, but mark my words, we're going to. 15 years is a short period of time, because here we are 15 years after we started, and it seems like it went by really fast. But 15 years is also a long period of time when you have great people and great ideas and the foundation that it takes to make something work. So I think it's going to be exciting when we look back. I really think that we will live to see, in our lifetime, we're going to see this whole healthcare system change. We're going to see a complete shift in what goes on in this country and what goes on worldwide with our model of healthcare, actually converting to a healthcare model. Right now it's a sick care model, as you all know. I think we're going to convert to a healthcare model from a sick care model. I think we're going to financially, it's going to be such a windfall. I mean, I wrote in my book, Solving America's Healthcare Crisis, that if everybody in the United States got private lessons, okay, if we took the average of what everybody charges to deliver this message, if everybody got private lessons we'd have enough money based on the average of what we charge. We'd have enough money left over after we got everybody on this diet, understanding the value of doing it, to pay down the national debt in 6 years. It's pretty amazing, right? And we can do it. We can absolutely do it. But to do it, we have to expand the size of the Army, and that's where you guys come in. We left you a sheet in your conference packet saying, listen, contact me about something I'm interested in. You want to become a member, you want to work with the Wellness Forum, you own a company that you want to have us do an employer-sponsored plan for, or you want to sell employer-sponsored plans for. There are many, many ways in which you can get involved with the Wellness Forum. And if anything you've heard this weekend or from me resonates with you, fill out that form, give it to us, and let's start a partnership with you to help make the change that we all want to see in the world. Thank you so much, and back to Sid.